super excited. My name is Jennifer Martell. I am from South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, home of the Cornbread Festival. Come see me. I got a phone call from my employer, and they said, hey, we have a thing happening in Dallas, do you want to go? And so the first thing I did was really awesome stuff to do in Dallas. I saw Future Flight and I was like, oop, I'm in.
We're just going to taxi out to the field here. I'm Dave English with Future Flight Powered Parachutes. What we do here at Future Flight is teach people to fly a powered parachute and give introductory flights for people that just want to go out for a quick little ride around the area. Clear prop. It's a three-wheel cart that has a motor and a fan on the back that pushes it along. The wing is your skydive type parachute. They call it a ram air parachute. Most people don't understand it. Since the parachute normally drops down, our parachute goes back up.
I came in from out of town a couple days early to do this specifically with Dave because he is the best. I did my research.
We're going to start here with a parachute. We're going to lay it out and make sure the lines are untangled. There's no damage to the parachute. And since it's kind of breezy out here, we got to be careful the wind doesn't catch it. So yeah, to us a perfect day would be a day where the winds are 10 miles an hour or less. No thunderstorms or atmospheric conditions that are going to make it bumpy in the air. I prefer to fly early morning, late evening, because in the middle of the day when the sun heats up, it starts sending up little air bubbles called thermals. And they're kind of fun to catch and float around in. But middle of the day, they get pretty strong and they start to turn into what we call dust devils, which are little tornadoes from the thermals. I prefer not to fly during that time of day. I prefer the smoother air where you can enjoy it. And you know, it can be a Six Flags ride in the middle of the day if that's what you're into. I like to make the first flight smooth so you can enjoy it. And if you want to come back sometime and have a Six Flags ride, we can do that, but we'll make sure you didn't have too much for breakfast. Now the parachute inflates. As I taxi down the runway, I'll have another chance to look at the parachute and make sure it did completely clean up. If I have any issue, I'll shut the motor down. We'll try again.
You know, in an airplane, you have a window you can see out, but this is like I'm going to be able to feel the wind, and I'm really excited. I think this is my introduction to flight. Definitely will decide if I'm going to go skydiving or not.
Yeah, I got started in this just out of high school. I decided I wanted to be an airline pilot. I went to Embry-Riddle down in Florida. I got 4 years of flight training, and I timed it real perfectly with a bad economy when they started laying off airline pilots big time. So I figured, well, I need to do something with all these licenses, and the powered parachute came on the market. They said it was fun, it was safe, it was easy. I said, man, I like all three of those things, maybe I'll do that. So I was the first guy to buy a powered parachute dealership in 1984, and my brother and wife were my partners. My wife was my first student. I figured she wouldn't, sue me or anything if she got hurt, but she did great, and she ended up becoming the first female pilot and female flight instructor, and she still loves to go up and fly the powered parachutes. My brother, he was the first one to actually fly in our training class because he had no flight experience. So they asked him, who wants to fly tonight at the first training seminar, and I kicked my brother and said, hey, he'll do it. Yeah, I volunteered him to fly, and they put him in the powered parachute. So he started the motor, they told him to give it full power, and it took off. Just on takeoff, we noticed the radio went out. So we had my brother up in the air with no training, no experience in an aircraft, and the sun was going down, it was getting dark on him. And I figured this is probably when I'm going to lose my brother today. Fortunately, the aircraft is so safe, so stable, that he was smart enough to figure out how to control it, got it safely back to the ground with no damage. Next day, they all apologized for that training, it wasn't adequate. So we came up with a better training system where you learn a lot more before you take off, so if you do have a radio failure, you're not totally ignorant on what to do. So that was a fun experience for him, and it showed me that that aircraft was so safe where you could take somebody off the street, clueless, he can fly, take off, and land, and there was no accident. So to me, that was a big selling point for me, that it was that safe to operate. This is called an Airwolf powered parachute. It's one of the top of the line models. It features the 100 horsepower Rotax engine, 550 square foot parachute, and an airframe that's constructed out of aircraft aluminum and chromoly steel. It has digital instrument gauges, digital GPS with traffic alert, so I can find traffic on there. And I'm going to start my pre-flight checklist here. And the first item is the weather, and it's a little breezy right now, so we're kind of going to wait for that to settle down. This is called a light sport experimental aircraft, so I got my paperwork on board. As a pilot, I'm in good shape, mentally, physically, for flying. I got the parachute laid out behind me, so when I start my takeoff roll, it's going to kite up and inflate, and off we go. We got our nose gear with a brake up here, just making sure there's no damage on the hardware. Tubing. We steer the aircraft with these foot bars. When you push the foot bar out in this direction, it'll pull the back corner of the parachute, creating a turn in that direction. If I push the right foot, we'll go right. If I push them both, it's called a flare, and it makes softer landings. This control is for driving it on the ground. It steers the nose wheel. It does have a brake attached here. I'm going to go ahead and lock the brake up. We have a throttle control on this side, which controls our altitude. So I bring this lever forward, we climb up, I bring it back, we'll go level, I reduce it more, we'll start coming down. This is a trainer, so I do have a set of steering bars back here and a throttle control back here, so I can train people to fly this. We have a 4-point shoulder harness. Make sure that's ready to go. Now, the airframe inspection is a matter of checking the tubing is firm, no looseness, and all the hardware is in place. We got a main rail along the sides, a long chromoly pipe. Looks good. All right, then we're coming up. These are called outrigger tubes. This is where we attach our parachute. And here we have multiple attachment points for different pilot weights combinations. These are called risers, which are made of Kevlar. You go up to our parachute, and we have these high-strength connector links going to our parachute. This is the steering line that goes to your foot bar, and that attaches to the back corner of this parachute here, creating the turn. Now, skydivers will steer it with their hands. We steer it with our feet. Checking our landing gear. We got dual shock absorbers, Thunder tire. Looks good there. Got the pylon tube up the center of the aircraft. Now, the ring around the propeller is called a prop guard. It keeps the parachute lines on the outside and the propeller on the inside so they don't get together. I inspect the engine, look for any damage on the parts or leakage. This engine has redundant ignition systems, 2 spark plugs in each cylinder for extra safety. Again, this is a 100 horse Rotax 912. That's it. The aircraft is about $50,000, and there's other smaller engine versions. This has an oil tank here. And got a little dipstick. Looks like we've got plenty of oil. No fuel or oil leakage on this side. We got a 5-blade propeller. Make sure no damage on the propeller. All right. Then we switch over to page 2 on this side, check our landing gear, our pylon. Okay, checking our fuel tank. Got a full tank, caps tight. Check our attachments. All right, steering line looks clear. And check the lower frame. All right, everything looks good for flight.
I'm just really excited. The nerves are gone, so I'm just ready. I'm ready to fly.
We can talk to each other with our headset. If you don't hear your own voice, it means you're not talking loud enough or have the mic close enough to your mouth.
Okay. When I first got strapped in and I got on this great flight suit, it made me a little bit nervous. And I thought about the wind and my hair, but we had a helmet and I could talk to him the whole time.
All right, clear the propeller. We'll take off and keep it on the right side for you.
When we took off, it was just so smooth that my hands instantly just went out naturally. I mean, it was 10 times smoother than any roller coaster I've ever been on.
We get airborne very quick. In a little bit of wind, it's almost a blink of an eye and you're airborne.
We went from 300 feet at the top down at, I believe, 1,000. So pointed out animals and houses. I'm telling you, it was beautiful.
The typical speed of a powered parachute is about 30 to 35 miles an hour. There are different style wings you can put on them. Some are faster, some are higher lift, some are more maneuverable. Our legal limit is 10,000 feet. Over that, you're not allowed to fly. Most of them carry between 10 to 15 gallons of gas. So you got about 2 to 3 hours of flight time with that. As far as distance you can go would depend on the wind, because when you're going against the wind, you're slower than you're going with the wind. It's fun to take them to a scenic area like over to the lake and get some pictures. It's great for photography. But I would say 100% of my students have been totally happy with their flight. Like I said, we try to take some pictures up there so they can show their friends.
So it's a goat cart with a really cool parachute on it. What happens if it falls? What are we going to do?
And the parachute is always open while you're flying. In the event of an engine out, you turn it into a gliding parachute and we just float it back to the ground. So basically it's an aircraft that allows the average person to fly without a lot of the hazards associated with an aircraft. Yeah, beautiful night.
It's great. It's a once in a lifetime thing. I think once you try it, you'll understand that it is safe. To feel as free as you are and to be beside a bird and they're not even scared of you. I don't know anyone that would do that and not fall in love.
She was so glad to get this, in while she was in town that, she smiled the whole flight. She didn't want to land. It exceeded her expectations, I think, and I think she'll be back next time she's in town.
I would absolutely do it again, and being that I missed my flight probably 20 minutes ago, based on the safety with the wind, I would totally come back and wish I could stay longer.
For her, it was definitely an experience she'd always wanted, and I think she fulfilled the dream that day, and I think she'll remember that for quite a while.
You gonna buy one?
I've already looked at the prices. I already asked Dave, what am I looking at?
That's typical when I take somebody for a flight in a powered parachute. When they get back to the ground, is One of the first things I hear is, I need to sell my motorcycle. I want to buy one of these things, you know. And so people get on that path of how they can, you know, get one. So I do offer used aircraft for sale for people that don't have the budget for a new one.
So I'm going to take the machine out of it.
Manny is a great student of mine. He's probably one of my most excited students. He'll call me all day long, just hoping the weather's good to fly. And then when he brought his son out, I met his son. I said, wow, this is going to be a great experience for him.
Every day, my son asks me, let's go flying. My son, Asad, he's 17 now, and he was born with Down syndrome, but he is physically very much able to do it, and he's very strong. And he understands a lot more than people would think at Down syndrome.
Take me like them.
Good job.
But he just have a verbal impairment, so he can't express what he's feeling to people. We do a lot of stuff together. We have like best friend, and anytime, I mean, he could be doing anything, having fun or tired. I said, let's go work in the wood shop. He's ready to go. Hold it down with your fingers. Okay, push down on your own.
Hey.
Now, especially if I tell him, I said, let's go flying, he's got his little snack bag ready, he got my bag ready. Today when I came home from work, he went straight to my flight bag, let's go flying. When we go there and if Dave is flying and I'm flying, then he goes and says hi to Dave, you know, gives him a hug.
Ready to do some flying?
Hello, sir.
Manny.
We're gonna fly with Dave and a couple of other power pressure people. We've been looking forward to it for a long time. And we didn't get to fly yesterday, but we're gonna fly today. And he helps, he bringing his radio and a flight bag in there. The two things that he would love the most, flying and the mosque. We are Muslims, and Asad loves the mosque and prayers. He may not understand word for word what we are saying, but I firmly believe he understands the context of it.
That's his favorite place to go to. Every night we have to take him. My husband says, well, here's a child telling me that he wants to go for prayer. How can I say no to him?
He is accepted there. He's so much welcomed in the mosque, and people they are like excited. Their voice is excited, and so when he goes there, he finds a group of people after the prayer, and he stands with them. You know, just says Assalamu alaikum, which is our greeting in Muslim, saying hi. So he stays there with them, and they ask him questions, and he says, "Good, how are you? Good." And then I say, "Okay, Asad, let's go." And then he goes find another group of people and stands there and says Assalamu alaikum to them. So when we doing Ramadan month, when we have a large crowd, they give him safety vest stuff, and he directs people where to go. If I was standing there and telling him go sit there, they will not. They will go wherever they want to go. But if Asad tells them this direction, 100% of the time they're going to do what he want them to do. 100% of the time.
All he has to do is stand in one place, and all he does is points people. And no doubt, everybody follows where he says they have to go. So he's been doing this since he was probably in my knee high.
Asad has always loved generator pole lights. That started when he was very little. He was helping his dad at the mosque. They were setting up a generator pole light for Ramadan prayers. And I think something went wrong and my husband had to help them fix it. And so from that day on, he loves generator pole lights. Every time we go through a place where they have generator pole lights, he points them out and he wants to take pictures. If he has his iPad, he'll take it out and he takes pictures of it. Every time we're walking anywhere and there's one, he poses for us to take a picture of him with the generator pole light. So my husband finally bought him a generator pole light. And at first I thought it was ridiculous, but we drove all the way to Waco to pick it up.
Turn it like this.
But it actually ended up being really good because together they worked on it, they fixed it up, they cleaned it, they washed it, and they replaced the bulbs. And so they learned how to raise it up and extend it and turn it on. So it was a fun project for them.
When you land in a taxi, and you take it between the two reflectors, and then come back into here when you land, put on the runway, see the two reflectors?
Yeah, right.
Kind of turn between those and taxi off into the field here.
When I land.
Yeah.
Clear prop.
Clear the prop.
Flying, doing a power parachute, especially with Azhar, is a lot more fun. Woodworking that we do and stuff like that, it gets boring. It's right there, you know. But power parachute is a different scenery, different activity. We get to walk. It's outside physical activity. It's really, really good.
I love that Asad and Manny can do that together, that it's an activity that Asad loves and they will both be able to bond and experience, it together. My husband does woodworking and he does screen printing and other things. But Asad, and he does help him with those items, but he doesn't really enjoy it as much. Asad loves the power parachute. That's what I love about it.
So my favorite part is the group, of course, flying with Dave and Asad, the best part. And it's perfect weather.
It's great to see Manny go up with his son again, and we got some good flying together. That's the first time we did any formation flying that close.
I've not flown with Dave that close by, doing pictures and stuff. That was awesome. That was my favorite part.
He did great. It looked cool. Asad, did you have fun?
The reason I love flying is somebody introduced it to me. And I didn't have any feeling I want to fly for a living until I went for a ride in an aircraft and said, this is it. So when I bring somebody up here, I'm giving them the thrill of flying that they maybe not have had. Well, you done good. Proud of you.
Yeah, no, that was
That's
that was
probably the best
amazing.
takeoff you've ever done. People that buy these things are a little bit different breed. They want to be adventurous. You know, they say, I'm going to go have fun. You can go sit and watch Netflix. I'm going to go out and fly tonight. I'm going to go watch the sun go down at 2,000 feet.